Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bobby Hesley Show. I'm going to go live right now to the joint session of Congress where they count the electoral votes. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Lord Jesus, please let them do the right thing. Here we go, guys.
Return from the state, regular, informed, and authentic.
9 votes for president, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 9 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of vote of the state of Alabama that the teller has verified appears to be regular, informed, and authentic? Hearing none. This certificate from Alaska, the parliamentarians advise me, is the only certificate of vote from that state that purports to be a return from the state, and that has annexed to it a certificate from an authority of the state purporting to appoint and ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Alaska seems to be regular, informed, and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 3 votes for president, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 3 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of vote of the state of Alaska that the teller has verified appears to be regular, informed, and authentic?
If not, there are none. This certificate.
Hearing none. This certificate from Arizona, the parliamentarians advise me, is the only certificate of vote that the state purports to be a return from the state, and that has annexed to it a.
My patriots, I am praying this whole time. You know I'm Catholic. I am praying the rosary. Look at my America red, white, and blue colored rosary. I want everybody on this stream, whether you're Catholic, Protestant, Jewish, Muslim, whatever your faith is, if you want to see the United States of America, the country that we love, stay as it is, please pray, guys. Pray. Here we go.
Certificate from an authority of that state purporting to appoint or ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Arizona seems to be regular, informed, and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Joseph R. Biden Jr. of the state of Delaware received 11 votes for president, and Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 11 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of vote of the state of Arizona that the teller has verified appears to be regular, informed, and authentic?
Mr. Vice President, I, Paul Gosar from Arizona.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Arizona rise?
I rise up for myself and 60 of my colleagues to object to the counting of the electoral ballots from Arizona.
Is the objection in writing and signed by a senator?
Yes, it is.
It is.
Here we go, folks. Our first objection signed. Listen to the applause. Look at Ted Cruz. Pray, guys. Pray, pray, pray. Do not eat. Fast right now. Skip lunch.
An objection presented in writing and signed by both a representative and a senator complies with the law, Chapter 1 of Title 3 of the United States Code. The clerk will report the objection. Next page, please.
Objection to counting the electoral votes of the state of Arizona. We, a member of the House of Representatives, and a United States Senator object to the counting of the electoral votes of the state of Arizona on the ground that they were not, under all of the known circumstances, regularly given.
Are there further objections to the certificates from the state of Arizona? The chair hears none. The two houses will withdraw from joint session. Each house will deliberate separately on the pending objection and report its decision back to the joint session. The Senate will now retire to its chamber.
There you have it, folks. There you have it. The Senate has just retired for debate. Guys, calling all Catholics, my Catholic viewers, are you praying? For all of my disciples and lovers and followers of Jesus, if it's not too late, do not eat lunch. Don't eat. Fast and pray. Sip your black coffee, sip some green tea, sip some water. Do not eat. You got to be heavenly minded and heavenly bodied right now. Don't have anything of the earth in your body right now. Empty yourself of all the things of the earth so that you can fill yourself with the Spirit of God, so that you can fast and fill yourself with the Spirit of God. I got my Black Voices for Trump hat on. I got my America Rosary. And I'm praying, guys. Look at that. They're experiencing technical difficulties. So we've got 2 hours. We have got 2 hours for them to debate Arizona. Now, keep in mind, folks, this is just the first state that they're debating. We have 6 more states to go. And it's 2 hours debate per state from what I understand. So they're debating Arizona. Next up will be Michigan or Pennsylvania or Wisconsin or Georgia. Did I miss any other ones? Arizona, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. What else am I missing, guys? I've had a long day. But Arizona is just the start, guys. So from what I understand, amen, Mindy, Christians of all faiths unite. Let's set aside our doctrinal differences for a few hours. Let's not pretend they don't exist. Let's not be fake and insincere about it. But we have plenty in common to unite in prayer and fasting right now. We all love Jesus. We've all been redeemed by his precious, sacred, Eucharistic blood. Let's fast and pray, guys. Let's unite in prayer. Nevada, yes. Jesus, I trust in you. Amen. So let me give a little bit of commentary right now for what's going on. Now, no matter what happens today, guys, win, lose, or draw, the only way that you can truly and fully rebuild something is to tear it down. Let me give you an analogy. I'm a real estate investor. I buy houses, I rehab them, and then I sell them for profit after they've been fully rehabbed and repaired and updated. The only way that I could sell a house for top dollar is I have to go in there, and the first thing that I do is I have to rent a dumpster, and I have to hire a demo crew to go in there with sledgehammers, drills, jigsaws, crowbars, and dust masks. So they go through the entire house and they demolish it. They demolish the cabinets. They bust up the floors. They take the bathtubs out. They take all the sinks out. They bust the walls down to the studs so that we can get in there to rewire the electrical. They tear out all the plumbing so that we can replumb the house because maybe it's got galvanized piping in it that's out of code. So now we got to bring it up to date with PEX piping. The only way that you can rebuild something and to make it brand new is to first tear it down and destroy it. And that is what is happening to the Republican Party today, folks. Win, lose, or draw, no matter what happens today, that's what you need to take away from this. That's what you need to take away from this. These brave senators who just objected the right way. That's why I did all these videos leading up to everything, showing all the Democrats objecting in the year 2000. Those were members of the House. That ain't how it works. The Constitution says that every objection must be signed in writing and endorsed by someone from the Senate. The Democrats have never had signed objections whenever they tried to object to certification of elections. They had no Senate signed objections in the year 2000, which I played on that Fahrenheit 9/11 Michael Moore clip. They had no objections that were signed in 2005 when they tried to hypocritically object to the certification of the reelection of George W. Bush, because this electoral college that previously didn't matter to them just 4 years prior, that it was theft because he won the state of Florida, because Bush won the electoral vote even though he lost the popular vote. Now, all of a sudden, 4 years later, the electoral college matters all of a sudden, because now they try to use the state of Ohio. They try to decertify the state of Ohio in favor of John Kerry, who is another counterfeit Catholic. But they had no signed objections from the Senate. In 2016, I played the clips of people trying to object to the election of Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton. They were arguing Russian intelligence fraud. There was Maxine Waters, Sheila Jackson Lee. You had all these people that were objecting, that were violating the Constitution. Why? Because they had no senators who had a signed endorsement of their objections. And you remember what Maxine Waters said? I even played the clip. She said, I don't care that I don't have anything in writing. Screw the Constitution, screw Donald Trump, screw the American people is basically what she was saying. To heck with the rule of law. I want what I want, when I want it, how I want it, why I want it, and where I want it. But today, for the first time in a very, very long time, we finally have a legal, legitimate, lawful, and constitutional objection to the certification of Jim Crow Joe Biden. So the Republican Party, before our very eyes, is being rebuilt. Our electoral system seems to be being torn down. The voting process seems to be being torn down. But you know what else is rising? You know what the phoenix that's rising from the ashes is? Is I believe that the Republican Party 2.0 is being refashioned right before our very eyes. These handful of senators, these, 10 or 11 senators, these 100+ House members that are going to object, those are the pioneers and the leaders and the foundation of the new Republican Party. And this is going to be different from the Republican Party that was formed back in 2009 in the wake of the election of Barack Obama, when CNBC contributor Rick Santelli called for a new Tea Party. And you guys remember the red wave 10 years ago, 11 years ago, the red wave of 2010 midterms, where the Republicans pretty much took over the country. We took over the House. We took over the Senate. We took over all these governorships throughout America. Blue states that had blue governors for decades went red. Virginia went red for Bob McConnell. You guys remember that? That was the Tea Party. I believe that we are in the presence right now of something, of a refashioning of the Republican Party that's going to be bigger and stronger than when the Republican Party was refashioned back in 2010. I truly believe that. Let's see what they have to say here.
House and Senate, and you unseal the results of the Electoral College, which is, of course, the result of the November election.
So, and I understand, of course, that you're one of the people that intends to object. I actually am curious in a particular state. I don't know what your plan is. Can you tell us?
Yeah, so there's a healthy debate between whether the Constitution says the 12th Amendment permits objections or not. Well, the history shows there are objections. Frankly, even the second president, there was an objection. Thomas Jefferson was president instead of Aaron Burr because there was an objection. And then you go on all along the way. The precedent is that there are objections, and they've been rare that there's an outcome change, and no one expects that there's going to be an outcome change here because even if 100% of Republicans voted to object to, say, the electors of Pennsylvania, no Democrat is likely to object.
I'm going to switch over, guys. Give me a second.
It's selective.
Now, these are House members debating, from what I understand. These are House members. Let's tune in.
Gone around this process. That has to end, Madam Speaker. We have to follow the constitutional process. Now, there might be reasons why some people don't like the process laid out by a legislative body. Madam Speaker, I served on one of those legislative bodies when I was in the state legislature for 12 years. I served on the House and Governmental Affairs Committee where we wrote the laws for our state's elections. And I can tell you, when we had to make changes, those were extensively negotiated. We would have people on both sides come, Republicans and Democrats, Madam Speaker, would get together to work through those changes, any minute change, to how a precinct would function, to how
really
a
isn't
change would be made in the time of an election, signature requirements, all the many things that involve a clerk carrying out the duties in each parish, in our case. You would see people come and give testimony. Madam Speaker, both sides could come. Clerks of court were there in the hearing rooms. It was an open process, by the way, not behind closed doors in a smoke-filled room where somebody might want to bully a Secretary of State to get a different version that might benefit them or their party.
Can you guys hear everything okay? Please let me know. Say yes if you can hear everything. Can you guys hear okay? Let me know.
Party or their candidate. That's not what our founding fathers said is the process. Maybe it's how some people wanted to carry it out, but they laid out that process. And so when we would have to make those changes, they were in public view. They were heavily debated. And then ultimately, those laws were changed in advance of the election so everybody knew what the rules were. People on both sides knew how to play.
For those of you who just joined, I'm here praying while this whole thing's going on. I got my America rosary. I got my red, white, and blue rosary. For those of you who just joined, do not eat. If it's not too late, do not eat lunch. Please fast until dinner today for our nation, for our country. Please fast and be praying this whole time. It's okay to watch. It's okay to stay informed. But like Jesus told the apostles in the Garden of Gethsemane on Holy Thursday, the night he was betrayed, he said, watch and pray. Keep watch. So please do not eat, guys. We could all afford to miss a meal. Don't eat. Dedicate your appetite to God today, please.
Rules before the game started. Not getting somewhere in the process and saying, well, you don't think it's going to benefit you, so you try to go around the Constitution. That's not how our system works. It's gotten out of hand. And so President Trump has called this out. And President Trump has stood up to it. So many of us have stood up to it. And in fact, over 100 of my colleagues, Madam Speaker, asked the Supreme Court to address this problem just a few weeks ago. And unfortunately, the court chose to punt. They didn't answer it one way or the other. They didn't want to get in the middle of this discussion. We don't have that luxury today. We have to discuss this. We have to fix this. In fact, on our first full day of this Congress, many of us brought legislation onto the House floor to start fixing the problems with our elections, to restore integrity to the election process, which has been lost by so many millions of Americans. And we had a vote. Every single Republican voted to reform the process. Every single Democrat voted against it. They don't want to fix this problem. But the Constitution is our guide. And it's time we start following the Constitution. It's time we get back to what our founding fathers said is the process for selecting electors. That's the legislatures. In public view, not behind closed doors, not smoke-filled rooms, not bullying somebody that might give you a better ruling. Let's get back to rule of law and follow the Constitution, Madam Speaker, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Gentleman's time has expired. For what purpose does the gentlewoman It's over now. I thought it was Jamie. For what purpose does the gentlewoman from California seek
To
recognition?
strike the last word.
Without objection, gentlewoman is recognized for
Madam
5 minutes.
Speaker, this day marks a crossroads for American democracy. Those who object to the counting of the Electoral College votes, which reflect the votes of the American people, want to substitute their preferences for the voter's choice. That's not what our Constitution requires, and it's at odds with the American Democratic Republic. If Congress selects the next president instead of American voters, we'll have no need for an electoral college. In fact, we'd have no need for presidential elections at all. We'd be moving from a government elected by the people to a government selected by those already governing. That's not America. In the United States, we abide by the choices of the people, not an elite few. The framers of our Constitution considered whether to have Congress select the president and specifically rejected it. Instead, they wrote Article 2 and the 12th Amendment. Article 2 creates the election.
I'm sorry to interrupt. For everybody who's listening on Facebook, can you hear me? I just got a notification saying that this video has been partially muted due to music, some kind of music thing in certain countries. For those of you that are watching live on Facebook, please type the number 1 in the comment section if you can hear the video. If the video is partially muted, please type the number 4. Can you hear me? Okay. Thanks, everybody. For those of you who can't hear me on Facebook, if you're partially muted, go over to my YouTube channel. I am streaming live simultaneously on Facebook and YouTube. Okay, thanks for confirming that, guys. Now, for those of you who just joined, I have to keep repeating this. If it's not too late, we are all praying here, but we're not only praying, we are also fasting. I've got my red, white, and blue America rosary here. Please do not eat until dinner. If it's not too late, please, we can all afford to skip a meal. Please dedicate your hunger and your appetite to God. Give him a sweet sacrifice of your hunger on behalf of our nation. We need to fast and pray for President Donald Trump. We need to fast and pray for Mike Pence, who's president of the Senate, who has a lot of authority today. And we need to fast and pray for all of these courageous GOP senators and House members that are coming forward and are objecting to the certification of Joe Biden. So let's keep the prayers coming, guys. You could still watch, but make sure that you watch and pray and fast. Do not eat. Thank you.
Electoral College, where each state appoints electors. Laws of all 50 states and D.C. require electors to vote for the winner of the state's popular election. Each state provides for the orderly conduct of elections, including lawful challenges, recounts, and the like. The 12th Amendment is what brings us to today. It says the electors meet in their states. That happened December 14th. The amendment says the electors shall cast their votes, sign and certify them, transmit them to a seal. That's been done. The sealed envelopes containing the signed certified ballots from each state's electors, reflecting the votes of the people, were in those mahogany boxes. The 12th Amendment directs the president, as the vice president, as the president of the Senate, to do only this: open the sealed envelopes, and then the vote shall be counted. Simple. It doesn't say counted in a manner that some members of Congress or the vice president might prefer. No. The votes are simply to be counted as certified and transmitted by the states. During Reconstruction after the Civil War, more than one slate of electors were appointed by states. Dueling lists were sent and protracted processes were undertaken in presidential elections. And as a result, to make an orderly process, Congress enacted the Electoral Count Act of 1887. This law governs our proceedings today. The act provides dispute resolution mechanisms. Under the ECA, if a governor certifies a slate of electors and there are no competing slates from that state, the governor's certified slate must be counted. Today, every single slate of electors, won by Joe Biden or won by Donald Trump, got their governor's certification. Not a single state submitted a competing slate. There's no.
Guys, I'm going to make an executive decision here. I'm going to switch over to Mitch McConnell. The Senate has more power than the House. I want to see what Mitch has to say. He's speaking right now. I'm going to switch over to him. Here we go. Give me a second here.
(1976), 2000, and 2004 were all closer than this one. The Electoral College margin is almost identical to what it was in 2016. If this election were overturned by mere allegations from the losing side, our democracy would enter a death spiral. We'd never see the whole nation accept an election again. Every 4 years would be a scramble for power at any cost.
This man is a traitor, guys. Mitch McConnell is a traitor. He is selling out his country before your very eyes right now. Listen to this guy. Lord have mercy on the soul of Mitch McConnell.
The Electoral College, which most of us on this side have been defending for years, would cease to exist, leaving many of our states with no real say at all in choosing a president. The effects would go even beyond the elections themselves. Self-government, my colleagues, requires a shared commitment to the truth and a shared respect for the ground rules of our system. We cannot keep drifting apart into two separate tribes with a separate set of facts and separate realities, with nothing in common except our hostility.
You 30 pieces of silver collecting, turncoat, treacherous Republican. We will never forget this, Mitch. We will not forget this ever. The Republican Party, there's no coincidence that the symbol of the Republican Party is the elephant. What distinguishes the elephants from all other animals? They have the greatest memories. Elephants never forget. Us elephant Republicans, we are never going to forget this day, Mitch McConnell, January 6th. You mark my words. You better enjoy whatever little is left of your career because it's over. You just put a nail in the coffin of your career today, right now. Let's go ahead and watch you self-destruct. I'm going to go ahead and unmute this and unpause it. And let me go ahead and live stream your own career self-destruction, your own career suicide that you're committing right now.
Towards each other and mistrust for the few national institutions that we all still share. Every time in the last 30 years that Democrats have lost a presidential race, they've tried a challenge just like this. After 2000, after 2004, after 2016. After 2004, a senator joined and forced the same debate. And believe it or not, Democrats like Harry Reid, Dick Durbin, and Hillary Clinton praised them and applauded the stunt. Republicans condemned those baseless efforts back then. And we just spent 4 years condemning Democrats' shameful attacks on the validity of President Trump's own election. So look, there can be no double standard. The media that is outraged today spent 4 years aiding and abetting Democrats' attacks on our institutions after they lost. But we must not imitate and escalate what we repudiate. Our duty is to govern for the public good. The United States Senate has a higher calling than an endless spiral of partisan vengeance. Congress will either override the voters.
So I'm here in the House office buildings with our illustrious
Hold on, folks. Let me see if there's another live feed of Mitch right now. Unbelievable. All right, let's go back to Mitch, the sellout. Bear with me for a second, guys. Let's go back to the sellout Republican, Mitch McConnell.
Others to do the right thing. I will vote to respect the people's decision and defend our system of government as we know it.
Leader.
Chuck Schumer, buckle up. Here we go. We already know how this is going to go, guys.
Mr. President, Vice President, as prescribed by the Constitution and the laws of the nation, the purpose of this joint session is for tellers appointed on a bipartisan basis by the two houses to read to the Congress the results of an election that has already happened. We are here to receive an announcement of a vote that has already been certified by every state in the union and confirmed by the courts many times over. We're here to watch the current vice president open envelopes and receive the news of a verdict that has already been rendered. It is a solemn and august occasion, no doubt, but it is a formality. The Congress does not determine the outcome of elections, the people do. The Congress is not endowed with the power to administer elections. Our states are given that power. By the end of
the people already decided the result of the election, Chuck, and you and your dirty Democrats overturned it on us in the dead of night at 4 a.m.
Proceedings today, it will be confirmed once again, something that is well known and well settled. The American people elected Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to be the next president and vice president of the United States. And yet, a number of our colleagues have organized an effort to undermine and object to that free and fair election. They are in the minority. They will lose. They know that. They have no evidence of widespread voter fraud upon which to base their objections. That's because there is none. There is none. Not brought before any of the courts successfully. They know that President Trump and his allies have suffered a defeat in court after court across the country, losing no fewer than 62 legal challenges. And I might add, many Republican-appointed judges, some appointed by President Trump, rendered those decisions. They know, you all know, that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are going to be sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States on January 20th.
We'll see about that, Chuck.
They are going to object to the counting of the vote anyway.
We'll see about that, Chuck. The day ain't over yet. We just started our first of 7 debates. We'll see about that.
And in the process, they will embarrass themselves. They will embarrass their party. And worst of all, they will embarrass their country. This insurrection was fortunately discouraged by the leadership of the majority party, but it was not quelled. It is a very sad comment on our times that merely the accepting the results of an election is considered an act of political courage. Sadder and more dangerous still is the fact that an element of the Republican Party believes their political viability hinges on the endorsement of an attempted coup. That anyone, much less an elected official, would be willing to tarnish our democracy in order to burnish their personal political fortunes. Over the course of the afternoon, and however far into the evening this band of Republican objectors wants to take us, senators of goodwill from both sides of the aisle will explain why these challenges must be dismissed. The senators from states whose electoral votes are being challenged will explain how the allegations of fraud are baseless. And a substantial bipartisan majority must vote to put down these objections and defend the sanctity of our elections and indeed, our great and grand democracy. Because that's what we're talking about today. The health of our democracy. This wonderful, beautiful, grand democracy where the peaceful passing of the torch is extolled by school children in the second grade, but not by some here. As we speak, half of our voters are being conditioned by the outgoing president to believe that when his party loses an election, the results must not be legitimate. As we speak, the eyes of the world are on this chamber, questioning whether America is still the shining example of democracy, the shining city on the hill. What message we send today? What message will we send today to our people, to the world that has so looked up to us for centuries? What message will we send to fledgling democracies who study our Constitution, mirror our laws and traditions, in the hopes that they too can build a country ruled by the consent of the governed? What message will we send to those countries where democratic values are under assault and look to us to see if those values are still worth fighting for? What message will we send to every dark corner of the world where human rights are betrayed, elections are stolen, human dignity denied? What will we show those people? Will we show those people that there is a better way to ensure liberty and opportunity of humankind? Sadly, a small band of Republican objectors may darken the view of our democracy today, but a larger group of senators and House members from both sides of the aisle can send a message too. That democracy beats deep in the hearts of our citizens and our elected representatives, that we are a country of laws and of not men, that our traditions are not so easily discarded, even by our president, that facts matter, that truth matters, that while democracy allows free speech and free expression, even if that expression is anti-democratic, there will always, always be, praise God, a far broader and stronger coalition ready to push back and defend everything we hold dear. We can send that message today by voting in large and overwhelming numbers to defeat these objections. My colleagues, we each swore an oath just 3 days ago that we would defend and support the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that we would bear true faith and allegiance to the same. We swore that we took this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that we could well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office we were about to enter, so help us God. The precise words of that oath were shortly written after the Civil War, when the idea of true faith and allegiance to this country and its Constitution took on enormous meaning. Let those words ring in the ears of every senator today. Let us do our duty to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help us God.
So that's to be expected. Not out of the ordinary, what Chuck said.
Majority Leader.
I yield up to 5 minutes to the senator from Texas, Senator Cruz.
Here we go. Ted Cruz, baby. Guys, pray for him.
Mr. President,
Senator.
we gathered together at a moment of great division, at a moment of great passion. We have seen and no doubt will continue to see a great deal of moralizing from both sides of the aisle. But I would urge to both sides perhaps a bit less certitude and a bit more recognition that we are gathered at a time when democracy is in crisis. Recent polling shows that 39% of Americans believe the election that just occurred, quote, was rigged. You may not agree with that assessment, but it is nonetheless a reality for nearly half the country. I would note it is not just Republicans who believe that. 31% of independents agree with that statement. 17% of Democrats believe the election was rigged. Even if you do not share that conviction, it is the responsibility, I believe, of this office to acknowledge that is a profound threat to this country and to the legitimacy of any administrations that will come in the future. I want to take a moment to speak to my Democratic colleagues. I understand your guy is winning right now. If Democrats vote as a bloc, Joe Biden will almost certainly be certified as the next president of the United States. I want to speak to the Republicans who are considering voting against these objections. I understand your concerns, but I urge you to pause and think. What does it say to the nearly half the country that believes this election was rigged if we vote not even to consider the claims of illegality and fraud in this election? And I believe there's a better way. The leaders just spoke about setting aside the election. Let me be clear. I am not arguing for setting aside the result of this election. All of us are faced with two choices, both of which are lousy. One choice is vote against the objection. And tens of millions of Americans will see a vote against the objection as a statement that voter fraud doesn't matter, isn't real, and shouldn't be taken seriously. And a great many of us don't believe that. On the other hand, most, if not all of us, believe we should not set aside the results of an election just because our candidate may not have prevailed. And so I endeavored to look for door number 3, a third option, and for that I looked to history, to the precedent of the 1876 election, the Hayes-Tilden election, where this Congress appointed an electoral commission to examine claims of voter fraud. 5 House members, 5 senators, 5 Supreme Court justices examined the evidence and rendered a judgment. And what I would urge of this body is that we do the same. That we appoint an electoral commission to conduct a 10-day emergency audit, consider the evidence, and resolve the claims. For those on the Democratic aisle who say there is no evidence, they've been rejected, then you should rest in comfort. If that's the case, an electoral commission would reject those claims. But for those who respect the voters, simply telling the voters, go jump in a lake, the fact that you have deep concerns is of no moment to us. That jeopardizes, I believe, the legitimacy of this and subsequent elections. The Constitution gives to Congress the responsibility this day to count the votes. The framers knew what they were doing when they gave responsibilities to Congress. We have a responsibility. And I would urge that we follow the precedent of 1877. The Electoral Count Act explicitly allows objections such as this one for.
Listen to Ted Cruz, the scholar. Ted Cruz is a premier constitutional scholar, and I believe that he has a future in the Supreme Court as a justice. No senator knows the Constitution better than Ted Cruz. Let's listen to him.
Votes that were not regularly given. And let me be clear, this objection is for the state of Arizona, but it is broader than that. It is an objection for all 6 of the contested states to have a credible, objective, impartial body hear the evidence and make a conclusive determination. That would benefit both sides. That would improve legitimacy of this election. And so let me urge my colleagues, all of us take our responsibility seriously. I would urge my colleagues don't take perhaps the easy path, but instead act together, astonish the viewers, and act in a bipartisan sense to say we will have a credible and fair tribunal, consider the claims, consider the facts, consider the evidence, and make a conclusive determination whether and to what extent this election complied with the Constitution and with federal law.
Senator from Minnesota.
Mr. President, I first would like to say I appreciate the words of our leader, Senator Schumer, as well as Senator McConnell's call for a higher calling. January 6th is not typically a day of historical significance for our country. For centuries, this day is simply the day that we receive each state's certified electoral votes, and it has come and gone without much fanfare. In fact, this is only the third time in 120 years that the Senate has gathered to debate an objection, and as Senator Cruz well knows, both times these objections were resoundingly defeated. The last time the vote was 74-1. Why? Because senators have long believed that they should not mess around with the will of the people. They have understood the words of our great former colleague, John.
But by refusing to not investigate this fraud, by just willy-nilly certifying this fraudulent election without looking at any of the evidence, you are denying the will of the people.
John McCain from the state of Arizona, who once said that nothing in life is more liberating than to fight for a cause larger than yourself. In this case, my colleagues, our cause, despite our political differences, is to preserve our American democracy, to preserve our republic, because as someone once said long ago, it's a republic if you can keep it. Now, I appreciate all my Democratic and Republican colleagues who have joined our ranks of coup fighters, who have stood up for our democracy, who stand tall for our republic, and who believe in an ideal greater than ourselves, larger than our political parties. That ideal is America. And Senator Cruz, he knows this. On January 20th, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be sworn in as President and Vice President of the United States.
Guys, let me mute. I'm sorry. I got to keep remembering. Let me mute this witch for a second. Guys, look at the right side of the screen here. Could you imagine if these were all Democrats and the Democrats were going through what us Republicans are going through right now? Could you imagine the rioting and the looting and the burning and the violence and the killing and the shooting that would be going on right now if all these people here were Democrats and they are going through this election theft that we're having to suffer through right now? This is a contrast of the parties, folks. This is the difference between Republicans and Democrats. But I got to admit, I don't know how much more patience these Republicans down in D.C. have. We're going to find out today, depending on what happens.
Nominated by President Trump has thrown out these lawsuits, calling them baseless, inadequate, and contrary both to the plain meaning of the constitutional text and common sense. And he knows that all 10 living defense secretaries, including both of Trump's defense secretaries, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, William Cohen, he knows that all these leaders have come together to say that these scurrilous attacks on our democracy must stop, and we must allow for a peaceful transition of power. Senator Sinema will fill you in on these specific facts as to why this election was sound and true in Arizona, but a summary.
Elita, hang in there. Don't eat. We're all hungry. But you know what else we're hungry for? We're hungry for truth and justice. We're hungry for righteousness. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall receive their fill. Elita, we're begging you, please don't eat. Just skip lunch. Don't eat until dinner. You can make it. You can do it. Offer up those hunger pains to God. Offer up the sweetness of that sacrifice to the Almighty on behalf of your country, okay? Hang in there, Elita. Please do not eat. For those of you that have just joined, we are all here watching and praying. I got my red, white, and blue American rosary. Please do not eat, guys. Fast and pray Just subsist on coffee and green tea and water until dinner, please. And if you really feel like you want to go the rest of the way, skip dinner. Don't even eat dinner. I don't normally do this, but I'm doing it to lead by example. Can you guys see this? You probably can't see it. This is a fasting timer. It's an app I use called Fast Track. I've been fasting for 25 hours, guys. I'm not going to eat until tomorrow. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying it to lead by example. Give up food for this country for as long as you can, okay? Hang in there, guys. Please don't eat, Elita. Please don't eat. Now, if you're diabetic or if you have low blood sugar, you have medical conditions, of course you have to eat. But barring any medical conditions you may or may not have, hang in there and fast with the rest of us, okay?
President Trump received 1,661,680.
Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I intend later to address the specifics of Pennsylvania if and when an objection is raised with regard to Pennsylvania. For now, I want to address my remarks to what I think is the fundamental question being posed by the objectors. And that is, does Congress have the constitutional authority to decide which states' electoral college votes should be counted and which should not, based on how well we think they ran their elections? This is what the objectors are really asking us to do, to federalize elections by rejecting electoral college votes from states whose processes they say they disapprove of, and thereby having Congress select the President of the United States instead of the American people. The answer, Mr. President, is no, there is no such authority under the Constitution. The Constitution assigns to the states the responsibility to conduct elections. It's clear in Article 2, Section 1. It leaves courts with the responsibility to adjudicate disputes, and it assigns to Congress the ministerial function of counting ballots, except for extreme circumstances, such as when a state sends competing slates of electors to Congress. Which brings me to the 1877 precedent. Some objectors claim to merely want a commission to conduct an audit and then let states decide whether to send different electors. Well, first, the situations are...
Maria, don't be scared. Don't be scared. We're all in this together. God is in control. Nothing happens in this universe without the consent and without the permission of Almighty God. Just remember that. Nothing happens. Every single thing that happens in this universe must have the consent of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Every time your heart beats, that beat of your heart has been approved by the Holy Trinity. Every bird that chirps, every grain of grass that grows, every wave that billows in the sea, nothing can happen without the consent of God. That's what I want you guys to realize in this. What is happening before our very eyes, whether good or bad, we don't know what's going to happen today. But all these things that we're seeing rolling out in front of our eyes, they are all happening with the permission of God. You guys have to remember that. God's not up in heaven biting his nails right now, okay? God's not sitting on his throne going, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I'm so nervous. I'm so afraid. Fear not. The phrase fear not was said 365 times in the Bible, I've been told. That's one fear not for every single day of the year, and that includes January 6th, the feast of the Epiphany of our Lord in the Catholic Church on our liturgical calendar. So don't be afraid, Maria. I'm here with you. God's here with you. We're all here with you. We're all in this together, okay? And if you're afraid, I want you to counter that fear with the physical hunger that you're feeling right now for giving up food for God right now. Counter that fear with fasting. Fasting overcomes fear, okay? Let's keep watching.
Are not at all analogous. In 1877, Congress had before it two slates of electors from several states. Here, there are no Trump electors from swing states. There's just Biden electors. Second, legislatures from the swing states, they've already spoken. They've made their decision. They've chosen not to send us alternative electors. Third, a commission? Really? It's completely impractical, and we all know it, with 14 days to go before a constitutionally mandated inauguration. But look at it this way. If the objectors are right, and it really is Congress's job to sit in judgment on the worthiness of the state's electoral processes, then what's the criteria for acceptable election processes? What investigations have been conducted of these processes? What body has deemed that certain states' processes are unacceptable? What opportunities were these states given to challenge the findings? Why are the objectors objecting only to swing states that President Trump lost? What about the ones he won? I don't know, North Carolina. What about California? They have ballot harvesting, I'm told. If this is all supposed to be Congress's job, you'd think we'd have answers to these questions and procedures in place because we would have done this every 4 years, right? But we don't, because it's not our job. If we adopt this new precedent that we sit in judgment of states' processes, then we're federalizing the election law. We would necessarily have to establish the permissible criteria and rules for the state's elections. The ballot harvesting example, it's illegal in some states. It's encouraged in others. Does it become mandatory or forbidden depending on who's in control of Congress? And as the leader pointed out, it would be the end of the Electoral College. And the Electoral College is the mechanism by which the people select the president. But if Congress gets to decide which states get to vote in the Electoral College, then clearly Congress is selecting the president, not the people. Whichever party controls both houses of Congress would control the presidency. The public would never tolerate Congress picking the president instead of themselves, so they'd abolish the Electoral College, as many of our colleagues would like to do. And the end of the Electoral College, of course, means the nation will be governed by a handful of big blue states and regions that can drum up very large numbers. Mr. President, the Constitution does not assign to Congress the responsibility to judge the worthiness of state election processes, nor its adherence to its rules. That's the responsibility of the states and the courts. Let me conclude with this. I voted for President Trump. I publicly endorsed President Trump. I campaigned for President Trump. I did not want Joe Biden to win this election. But there's something more important to me than having my preferred candidate sworn in as the next president. And that's to have the American people's chosen candidate sworn in as the next president.
You out of touch, treacherous Republican that we will not forget. You know dang well you don't support President Trump, and you know that we've spoken. You know he landslided more than anybody else. You're a senator, probably. You have access to intelligence that us lay people, citizens, don't have access to. Remember this guy. I don't know what his name is. He's some nameless nobody. But we're not going to forget any of these treacherous Republicans.
Huge percentage of Americans now have serious doubts about not just the outcome of this presidential contest, but also the future reliability of our election system itself. Since we are convinced that the election laws in Arizona,
we'll get the names of all these people. Don't worry, guys.
Constitutional manner, we have a responsibility today. The slates of electors produced under those modified laws are thus unconstitutional. They are, quote, not regularly given or lawfully certified as required by the Electoral Count Act. And they're invalid on their face. That's just the conclusion that you have to reach. Given these inescapable facts, we believe we have no choice today but to vote to sustain objections to those slates of electors. Mr. Raskin and others today have cited the 12th Amendment, and they cite Article 2, Section 1, Clause 3. Remember that, Clause 3, and they've asserted that Congress has only one narrow role today. We're just supposed to count the electoral votes that have been submitted. But those advocates have overlooked a critical first principle. Their assertion is only true so long as Congress first is convinced that the electoral votes that are produced by a process that violated the Constitution is there. We got to get through Clause 2 of Article 2, Section 1 before we get to Clause 3 is the point. Look, in our unique system, Congress is positioned as the last bulwark in a presidential election to ensure the Constitution has been followed. Indeed, in just two decades ago, the Supreme Court spoke to this. They plainly acknowledged this important deliberative role of Congress. It was the famous Bush v. Gore litigation that everybody remembers from 2000. In a per curiam opinion, meaning all 9 justices, it was unanimous. They noted strict adherence to the provisions of the Electoral Count Act may, quote, create a safe harbor for a state insofar as congressional consideration of its electoral votes is concerned. However, they said, unanimously, the court said, since Title III, Section 5 contains a principle of federal law that would assure finality of the state's determination if they followed all the prescriptions there, if a legislature, the will of the legislature is attempted to be changed by a state court, that is a problem. That, they said, Congress might deem to be a change in the law. That's precisely why we're here right now. Go read Bush v. Gore, and you'll see this. Chief Justice William Rehnquist and Scalia and Thomas joined in a concurring opinion 8 days later, and they reiterated this point. A significant departure from the legislature scheme for appointing presidential electors presents a federal question. It's a big problem for us, and it's one we cannot get around. That's why we're here. I urge my colleagues today to look at the facts, to follow the law, and follow our congressional oath. We're supposed to support and defend the Constitution. That's what we do here today. I urge everyone to do the right thing, and I yield back.
Amen. Amen.
For what
This is the
purpose
House,
does gentleman
folks.
from Arizona, the dean of the Arizona
We'll go back.
delegation, seek
We're going to go back and forth between the House and the Senate, okay, guys? But let's stay focused on the House right now.
recognition?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in opposition to the.
Now, this guy here, if you guys remember the clip that I played a few videos ago, this guy objected to the certification of President Trump back in 2016. He was a House member, but he had no written consent from a senator, so that's why Biden smacked him down. He's a Hispanic congressman from North Carolina, I believe. I don't know his name, though.
Objection.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This exercise in futility that Congress is undertaking is at the behest of Republican members of Congress. The effort to overturn the presidential election and grant Donald Trump 4 more years is the motivation behind it. And to
Damn right it is. Of course it's to get Donald Trump elected for 4 more years, and that's the motivation behind it. That's what 80 million people voted for. You tone-deaf, godless, secular Marxist.
continue a baseless, conspiracy-fueled threat to our democracy makes no sense, because there is no viable constitutional or legal path to overturn the election that will make Vice President Biden and Senator Harris President and Vice President of the United States after January 20th. One certain outcome of this whole process is the weakening of our democracy and the threatening of our democracy. Beginning with Arizona, Congress is being asked to chase down a rabbit hole, baseless, discredited, and judicially discarded fringe conspiracy theories. But for the record, let's talk a little bit about Arizona. Arizona and state and local officials did an unbelievable job to ensure that the 220 elections ran smoothly. Mr. Hickman, the Republican chairman of the Maricopa County Party, the largest county in the state of Arizona, said, no matter how you voted, this election was administered with integrity, transparency.
Maria, if you can't listen, that's okay. You don't have to sit here and torture yourself and watch this, okay? If this is crushing your spirit too much, Maria, just step away from the computer, put your phone down, however you're watching this video I'm streaming, and just keep fasting and praying, okay? You don't have to watch this if you don't want to. You don't have to torture yourself if you don't want to. But just try to hang in there till dinner if you can and don't eat, okay? Just keep praying. Go into your prayer closet. Just fall down on your knees and on your face and just beg God for his grace and his mercy and his intervention for what's going on right now, okay? And beg for us to be perfectly resigned and abandoned to the perfect will of God. We have to practice abandonment to the holy will of God in times like this. So if you can't watch Maria, that's fine. Just step away and pray, okay? Hang in there, sister. We love you.
And in accordance with state laws, Arizona showed up to the polls in record numbers. More than 3.4 million people voted, increases in every county, and 65% of all eligible voters in Arizona voted in the 2020 election. Arizona's cast their ballots up and down for Republicans and Democrats, and 11 electoral votes were granted to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris based on their victory in Arizona. That's the story. Arizona voted in hundreds of races this year. And in addition to the presidency, these races include 9 members of the state's congressional delegation that are with you. 4 of them, my Republican colleagues. These members have already been seated in the 117th Congress. They do not question the accuracy of Arizona's 220 elections to select a congressional delegation, yet my 4 Republican colleagues question the presidential election. Our colleagues may say they are only questions or only
Guys, let me switch over real quick to what's going on with Mike Pence right now. Hold on.
To counting the certificate of vote.
Give me a second, guys. Bear with me. I got a lot of different stuff going on my screens here right now. Hold on. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I hate that Newsmax has commercials, but they got to pay their bills. Just give me a second here.
No access to the Dominion voting machines with a documented history.
Hold on, guys.
How elections are conducted when we're
I'm not seeing what's going on with this letter with Pence right now, but I'm on it.
By the way, a 3% error rate.
Hold on a second, guys. I'll keep rolling until I can get to the bottom of what's going on with Pence. Okay, just hang in there, and just give me a second.
At minimum is 90,000 ballots. After finding the 3% error rate, the court stopped the audit and refused to go further. In Arizona, as my attachments make it clear, mail-in ballots will be altered on the first day of counting, as shown in data graphs we provide, and it's concluded by data analysts. Over 400,000 mail-in ballots were altered, switched from President Trump to Vice President Biden, or completely erased from President Trump's totals. The proof is in the counting curves, the curves that cannot occur except with odds so rare and unlikely that winning the Mega Millions lottery is more probable. Mr. Speaker, can I have order in the chamber?
The House will be in order. The House will be in order. Okay. The House will be in order. House will be in order.
Hold on, guys. I'm trying to get to the bottom of
Members
what's
will
going
take
on.
their seats. The House will be in order. Okay. Okay. We can get order. We can resume.
Something's going down with Pence, guys. I don't know what it is yet, but something's going down. I think the people are trying to storm Congress, guys. Do you see this? You hear the sirens? Wow. Do you hear that Chinese?
Without objection, the chair declares the House in recess pursuant to Clause 12B of Rule 1.
Yeah, guys, just hang with me while we try to get to the bottom of this. We're all in this together. We ain't got much to do right now. So something will turn up soon. I'm hearing that Pence will not I'm not going to say anything yet because I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, guys. I'm getting to it. Hold on.
To call of the chair.
Trying to get to the bottom of it. I think there's some evacuation going on. People are pissed. But there's no sound. Just realize there's no sound on this feed that you guys are seeing right now. So I am just as much in the dark as you guys are right now. But I'm searching. I am working madly on getting to the bottom of what's going on right now. Let's just hang in here. Yeah, I'm hearing that there's a loudspeaker announcement in the Capitol. Okay, let's listen. My friend Jeff Mentog said that the Patriots have breached the barrier and they're inside the building right now. I think they're trying to literally take the country by storm, guys, like literally. USA chance. I'm hearing a lot of bad things about Pence right now, guys, but I'm not going to comment on it until I get to the bottom of it. I'm not going to believe it until I see it and it's confirmed. I'm not going to jump the gun here. Let's not jump the gun here, guys. Let's not jump the gun here. We don't know what Pence is doing right now.
Miss what you really need. So I called Easy.
All right, guys, I'm going to switch over for a second. Mitch the traitor is talking again. We're going to see what Mitch McConnell has to say. Let's go live to the Senate right now. And I will continue to go back and forth between both screens.
Every election features some illegality and irregularity, and of course, that's unacceptable. I support strong state-led voting reforms. Last year,
I think that's a rerun from earlier. We don't need to hear him talk again like that. Hold on. Hang with me, guys. Let me see what's going on here. Let's go to live outside the Capitol. We're just going to stick with what's going on outside the Capitol. I think I just heard an explosion. Are you guys hearing these explosions? Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too, Deb. They're recessing because of security issues. Let's not jump the gun on Pence yet. We don't know what happened either way yet, guys. Let's not prejudge. Let's not panic. Let's just be patient. And hey, John, I don't know what the chatter is on Pence. I'm hearing good. I'm hearing bad. We're waiting. We're waiting. But I just know that there's something going down right now outside the Capitol. It's going down. People don't normally get up on the steps that close like this, guys. They're trying to breach the Capitol.
Here as a representative of North Carolina, particularly the 13th district, but also
hold
for
on.
those millions of Americans who feel that something really went wrong on November 3rd with the presidential election. Maybe they've seen.
Maria is saying that Pence folded and that it's over.
But we feel that North Carolina, we were.
But I don't know about that.
A fairly fair election there. But now we're concerned that the other 6 states that I'm going to be objecting to really. skewed the election.
Okay, guys. Okay, hold on. Okay. Thy will be done, Lord. Thy will be done, Lord. From the Twitter handle of President Donald Trump, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones, which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth. It's official from the president, guys. Pence folded. Pence just folded, guys. He just let us all down. I'm just processing it. Let's just take a minute to process it, guys. I don't have any words right now, to be honest. I have no words. Yeah. I think Trump knew it would happen too because of everything that he was saying in the days leading up. But is it a wrap yet? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see if we can find some footage of what's going on right now. Trying to find footage right now. I'm just going to keep it live in front of the Capitol House until I can find out what's going on. Let's just say focused on the Patriots. I agree, Richard. Let's just all take a deep breath right now. And that's a good point, CJ. Today is not January 20th.
Process to happen to ensure that people have a confidence in the outcome of the election. And some breaking news.
Okay, breaking
the U.S.
news.
Capitol is on lockdown. We are just being told that the U.S. Capitol is on lockdown. Apparently, some sort of threat has been made against the U.S. Capitol. We did hear from Emerald Robinson that she at one point had to move from the Cannon Rotunda where she was due to what sounded like protesters infiltrating the building. but we are now being told that the U.S. Capitol is on lockdown. That would potentially impact the ongoing debate and the time for the timing of the debate that is happening inside the House and Senate chambers. And as soon as we have more information on the situation, we will bring it to you. Of course, Emerald Robinson will be standing by on Capitol Hill. Earlier today, the president again speaking to his supporters outside of the White House grounds, sounding very defiant, putting a lot of pressure on Mike Pence, as we were just talking about on our air. There is a significant legal debate as to whether or not that is it is a fair type of pressure to put on him in terms of what he can do. And I'm being told that we do have Emerald Robinson on Capitol Hill, can tell us more about the unfolding situation there. Emerald, what's the
Let's
latest?
listen, guys.
But we're still in lockdown down in the basement. I actually saw Congressman Jody Heiss just walk into this little, cantina area that we're in. He was supposed to be speaking on the floor at the moment. They've already pulled them out. They pulled the Senate Majority Leader out of the chamber as well. So, it's a touch and go situation here right now. We're not sure how long we're going to be on lockdown. I heard one member say that she was here for 9/11 and, they were here all night. And she's like, it could be something else like that. We're not sure about that. But look, it is a situation outside in which people have come to storm the Capitol. I've actually talked to a couple people who were out there in that group of protesters, and they told me they had gotten tear gas. So that's how the Capitol Police are dealing with it right now. And as far as that goes, that's what we know right now. This is definitely going to have an effect on this joint session of Congress today and the proceedings. And I'm hoping that I can talk to some of the members in here who are just now making their way down here and get a better picture of how they see this going and what's happening and what the conversations are amongst members in Congress.
Emerald, just so that I'm clear, both houses have now adjourned because of the situation, and the members are now also proceeding down to the basement areas underneath the Capitol, so that they would be away from any potential incursion from the protesters.
I mean, some of the members are. I think some may actually be in their offices. I'm not real sure as of yet. I talked to a couple of congressional staffers just before I came online with you, and they weren't real sure on, the situation at one staffer didn't actually know where their congressman was at the time. So I see some more people rushing towards me right now, actually. So they must be moving people from other areas into the Capitol down here into the basement.
Now, as somebody who's worked on Capitol Hill, it's not easy to get into the Capitol anymore. Pre 9/11, the
Guys, I've got my good friend Sean Crum, who's a fellow Detroit Patriot. I've got him on speakerphone right now. He is down on the ground live in Washington, D.C. He was an awesome Patriot that went down there. Sean, can you tell us what you've seen and what's going on down there?
Yeah, so far, it had been peaceful all day. Tons of people. I mean, it took us an hour to move through the crowd, and made the march down to the Capitol, and everything is still nonviolent, but people are starting to get really, really unhinged, and there are a lot of us down here.
Yeah.
And most of us are prepared for kind of any outcome. So it's going to get more hectic than it's going to get better, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
We're kind of backing off for right now. It's me and my wife's down here.
Smart.
We've met quite a few people. But we're prepared with medical and, any other help that people need. And other things back in Virginia where our hotel is.
Good. So you're falling back. Now,
For now, I don't want to make any mistakes. The National Guard is all over this city. They have been down here for a few days now, I imagine.
Okay.
You've got snipers on the rooftops. But like I said, we haven't seen any physical violence, anything like that. We've been heckled a bit by some of the locals, but for the most part, everybody seems to be pretty supportive.
Okay. Sean, let me ask you this.
People are still trying to get into the building, which is causing a problem.
Now, you know why that is. Did you hear the news, Sean?
Yes.
Did you hear that Pence folded?
Absolutely, and I'm not the only one that's heard it. So that's kind of what's changing the tone here, it seems.
So because I've heard that there's no live streaming capabilities down there right now. Does everybody who's on the ground right now know that Pence betrayed us all?
I don't know that everybody knows, but it's starting to spread through the crowd pretty quick.
Okay.
You know, you've got a couple of news outlets down here that NTD that is able to stream, but as far as everybody else, you know, their phones, we have signal, but trying to upload video or anything like that, it's just it's paused and it's not doing anything.
Yeah, that's why I was warning everybody to use their offline, you know, phone videos and all that.
Right.
So what was the initial reaction? Were you in the thick of things? Were you right in the crowd when news of Pence folding broke out? Were you right there?
Yeah, and you know, and I saw that actually from your live stream.
Okay.
I didn't see, you know, anything crazy go on, and you know, I don't think that everybody really knows what's going on, but like right now, they are all starting to find out.
Yeah, it's saying right now on Newsmax that protesters are now inside of the Capitol building. That they I guess the Patriots got inside now.
We're not that close to the steps. You know,
Good.
we're like I said, we're headed out of here for the moment.
Okay, that's a smart move. You guys should definitely fall back. You're there with your wife. You got nothing to prove, man. I mean, you know, none of us think any less of you. You're no less patriotic for being smart about it. So just please stay safe down there, brother. If there's, you know, text me if anything happens. This is my direct cell number. I'm going to stay on the live stream just to kind of make sense of everything that's going on right now. But if anything happens, please text me right away. And if something big goes down, I'll call you and put you on speaker again. Okay. We got about 1,000 people watching right now.
All right, man. Cool. Yeah.
All right, brother.
Keep you posted.
Sounds good, brother. God bless you, man. And please stay safe.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Bye. There it is, folks. From my friend Sean Crum, who's live down there. Yeah. Patriots have breached the Capitol, from what I understand.
To stir up violence, and so
let me see if I can find some footage anywhere else. Let me see if I can find some footage anywhere else, guys. Hold on. I mean, you know, it can't get any more official than Donald Trump. It can't get any more official than Mike Pence's boss, Donald Trump, saying that he let us down. Oh gosh. Oh man. I'm just kind of numb right now, to be honest, guys. I don't even know how to react right now.
thank you so much, Amber.
I don't even know how to react right now, guys, to be honest with you. I'm just I'm still it's everything is still kind of downloading right now for me. I don't think it's quite sunk in yet.
Senior leaders of Congress, the people in the presidential line of succession, both Vice President Mike Pence and the Senate President pro tempore Chuck Grassley were both hustled away from the Senate chamber, and similar situations rushing out of the chamber include, on the House side, Steny Hoyer, the majority leader, and minority whip Steve Scalise. So they are trying to secure everyone either inside the chamber or in some other locations to the extent possible. But it is no exaggeration to say that the Capitol building at this hour is under siege, and that is not something that I or anyone else says likely. And I'm understanding some of what may be going on otherwise that for very obvious reasons I am not going to say right now in terms of what security protocols are being put into place. But by and large, I can tell you that the Capitol Police are doing everything that they possibly can to secure both lawmakers and staffers, and as well as, you know, we are in the middle of this Electoral College count, which is in recess in both chambers at the moment. And I can tell you that certainly will eventually have to get done, but in exactly what format or method remains to be seen.
So where are senators and House lawmakers right now?
They are in motion through the building, as I understand. We do not know exactly where everyone is going. We know that they're trying to get them to secure locations within the complex. And I don't know that it would be appropriate for me to detail how much of it I know beyond that, in part because I have, we have colleagues in this developing situation who are actually with lawmakers at the moment. And quite frankly, until they get to a secure location, it may be best not for me or, frankly, anyone else to give too many details as to their precise whereabouts.
How are members of the media, congressional media,
We're living through history right now, guys.
how are they
This, you know,
receiving this communication?
it's a historic
from Capitol
moment right
Police
now.
or from the gallery?
We're hearing
Not the historic moment we wanted, but a historic moment nonetheless.
things in a few different ways. We have people who are hearing directly from Capitol Police or being with senior lawmakers. My colleague Catherine is in fact with some senators this afternoon, and so we're hearing it some directly out of sort of the mouths of lawmakers and Capitol Police. They have also been sending alerts both through email from the Capitol Police and using what is a somewhat always alarming, even in normal circumstances when it comes on. There is an overhead sort of pager system within the Capitol complex that makes announcements when there are lockdowns or when there may be some sort of a more routine security challenge, like a backpack that was left behind by a tourist. And so those sorts of things have all been deployed as well. And so some of it is just hearing from the various announcement forms that are normally there, and they go off from time to time. But this is the first time in a while, I would say to the viewers,
Capitol
this is
Police.
the first time in a long time I've heard this
of protesters, again, allegedly climbing over barricades, climbing
This is some
over
breaking footage from
statues,
Newsmax.
to get past the security protocols in place at the Capitol. As we were discussing with Emerald Robinson just a few minutes ago, that this is a very large crowd, mostly supporters of the president who marched up Pennsylvania Avenue after the president.
Guys, these are
addressed them.
protesters inside the
But
building.
It is also something
These people have breached the building. Those were citizens you just saw in there. Those are civilians.
to note that we've seen in the past interference from leftist groups that are prone to violence, who have infiltrated, that oftentimes infiltrate.
See the red MAGA hats? Those are Trump patriots inside the Capitol building, guys. They got inside.
Rallies for their own purposes, and again, we're not entirely sure what is happening here, but we do know that both houses of Congress have adjourned, at least temporarily, because the Capitol is on lockdown. Muriel Bowser, the D.C. mayor, has also ordered now a 6 p.m. curfew in just the last few minutes.
Look at this. Look at this.
You see some video there of protesters in what is the crypt of the U.S. Capitol. That is directly underneath the rotunda of the
They've
Capitol,
had it. They're fed up. Look at these fed up patriots.
The two chambers. So that is on sort of the lower level of the Capitol building. And you can
Good point, Carla.
see
Good point, Carla. Those may not be Trump people. They have said that Antifa and Black Lives Matter people have gone dressed up as Trump people. So that's a good point, Carla. We don't know who these people are, but whoever they are, they've breached the Capitol.
engagement with Capitol Police officers there, as they are trying to prevent these individuals from gaining access to the more sensitive areas of the building. And again, that's the area called the crypt underneath the Capitol rotunda on the lower levels of the Capitol building. So it does appear that protesters have breached the building. And the Capitol Police again.
Wow, they've really gotten in there.
Have ordered a lockdown for both for members of Congress and congressional staff. Debate has temporarily ended. It's been adjourned on the slate of Arizona.
Yeah, I agree. I think it might be Antifa
as,
posing as patriots, but we don't know. They could be Trump people. We don't know who they are,
For the
folks.
Capitol Police.
The truth is, guys, we don't know who these people are. We don't know if they're our people or the other people. And let's not pretend that we do. We don't know who they are. All we know is the country is in disarray right now, and we need to just stay calm. Let's stay calm and fasted, and let's just keep processing this whole thing together. Everybody just take a deep breath. Let's keep processing, okay? Let's just keep letting it sink in. Let's keep letting the facts come out, okay?
Can get this under control. And again, you're seeing some additional video there. And again, we're not going to definitively suggest who these people are, what their aims are. As we have noted, there are groups that do infiltrate these protests. We have seen it. We've seen it again.
Exactly.
We are getting some additional video shortly that also shows what's going on.
Yeah, I'm thinking this might be staged.
And this started out.
This might be staged by the left just to make it look like it's our people. But don't write off the fact that there are a lot of Trump patriots that probably are willing to do what you're seeing going on camera right now. That's why we can't make a conclusion either way.
So orderly, with a very regimented legal process that is provided for in the law and in the Constitution. And you started to see that process unfold with the two houses of Congress coming together, the reading of the Alaska. I'm just being told that the vice president, who was presiding over the Senate, presiding over the debate over the Arizona electors, has been evacuated by the Secret Service from the U.S. Capitol building.
Of course he has.
So that is some more breaking news on how this has how the protests have impacted the process that was started, and we expect to continue to unfold here over the approval of the electors, the Electoral College for the 2020 presidential election. Again, something that ordinarily we don't really talk a whole heck of a lot about. Today would have been ordinarily, you may have a House member object, you may have somebody stand up and say something, but ordinarily this is pro forma. It happens very quickly. But with so many Americans having so many concerns over whether or not there were irregularities or fraud that occurred in this election in a number of states. We have 140 members of the House and at least a dozen members of the Senate who are willing to at least allow a process that is provided for in the law to unfold, in which there is a debate and a vote that takes place in each House of Congress over these specific electors. And in addition to Arizona, we are hearing that the Georgia slate of electors will be.
Yeah, the other thing that raises my skepticism, guys, is we don't dress like this. Trump supporters don't dress in all black like this. Look at this. Does this look like MAGA supporters? These are Antifa people, guys. I'm telling you. These are Antifa people. I really don't think these are our people. That ain't how we dress, man. That's Antifa gear right there.
To the Pennsylvania slate, Ted Cruz also expected to speak later today about his idea of a commission and an emergency audit of the election. So all of that is yet to unfold here today. But of course, this level of disruption and a security breach at the Capitol is not something that they're going to play around with. They're going to make sure that the members of Congress and their staff, the vice president and others are safe, and they're going to deal with the security breach first before anything else. And again, just to recap, the House and Senate are in recess for an indeterminate amount of time while the security breach at the U.S. Capitol is dealt with. Again, those pictures coming from an area that looks to be what is known as the crypt. It's an area that directly beneath the Capitol Rotunda and the dome. And that's an area that is directly in between both houses. So you could, on the lower level of the U.S. Capitol, you can go in one direction and you get to the Senate. You go to the other direction, you get to the House chamber. And of course, members have been asked to take the lower levels either to their offices or to some area of safety in accordance with the Capitol Police's protocols to ensure that there aren't any interactions here with these protesters who are.
Okay, we've seen enough of this for now. We're going to keep covering throughout the day. But you know what, guys? Black voices for Trump, man. I want to ask you guys a question. I know we're feeling discouraged. We all feel gut punched right now. Oh, we can just feel the dagger go through all of our hearts right now. I know that. But I have a question for everybody who's on this stream right now. You guys ready for my question? Let me see the number 1 in the comment section. If everybody is ready for a question that I'm going to ask you right now, let me see some ones. You ready to hear a question from your man, Bobby Hesley? Let me see some ones. There are some ones. Here's my question, guys. Is today January 20th? What's the date today? Is the date today January 20th? Last time I checked, that's exactly 2 weeks away from today. That's exactly 2 Wednesdays away from today. That's my question. Let me go to President Trump's Twitter handle for a second. I'm gonna ask you guys a follow-up question. Okay. Please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. Stay peaceful. Okay. That's his most recent tweet 12 minutes ago. Half hour ago, Mike Pence, I read this, didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states a chance to certify a corrected set of facts, not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth. So let me see some more ones if you guys are ready for my second question. Are you guys ready for my second follow-up question to the one that I just asked? There's those ones. I still smell hope. I still see some hope in here. I don't see defeat just yet. I see a lot of disappointment. I see a lot of discouragement, but I don't see any despair on my wall, and I don't see any defeat. So here's my next question. Are you guys looking at my screen here? Can anybody show me a concession tweet from Donald Trump? I'm trying to find where he conceded. I can't find it. Has anybody found a concession here? I damn sure haven't. What did I say a few videos ago? Until I see Donald Trump give a concession speech and until I see him being escorted out of the White House and get on the chopper to do his final wave, I'm not conceding. Because Trump very well may have one more nuclear trump card that he hasn't played yet. I'm not going to get into it right this second because I still have to do more research myself. I got to make sure that I'm not putting out misinformation and that I'm saying the right thing. And I don't need to be the first to talk about it, to risk talking about it wrongly. But I don't see a concession. Mike Pence let us down, man. Mike Pence just certified the greatest electoral fraud in the history of our country. And I got to go on record in saying that I sincerely apologize for every negative thing that I've ever said about Lin Wood. I apologize for calling him a nutcase. I own it publicly. Lin Wood was right all along. Everything he was saying about Mike Pence was dead on. And here I am defending Mike Pence's virtue, his perceived loyalty, this little act that he put on for all of us. Let me see what Lin Wood has to say. I'm sure he's got something to say right now. 22 seconds. The entire General Flynn interview. Okay. General Michael Flynn is an American patriot and hero. I pray that real Donald Trump will appoint Jen as vice president of the United States. Okay. Maybe that's still an option he has. "12 minutes ago. So there's nothing real substantial that Lin Wood is saying right now. But all I know is, guys, and I know I'm probably going to sound like the biggest delusional fool there is out there saying this, but what do I have to lose? It ain't over till it's over. It seems like it's over. Maybe it is over. I don't know. But we have 14 days until January 20th. Donald Trump's presidential term is not over until 14 days from now. So until his presidential term is over, officially over, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to concede. I don't know about all you guys, but I don't know. I'm not giving up until Trump does. If Trump throws in the towel, I'll throw in the towel. But he doesn't appear to be doing that right now. So I just want everybody to continue fasting, continue praying. I have been streaming live for the last pretty much 3 or 4 hours nonstop. I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to actually take a little nap and get a little bit of rest. I'm not going to eat, though, because I'm not going to break my commitment of fasting that I made. But we're going to see if Trump invokes the Insurrection Act, martial law. There's still some options. I'm going to take some time to do some research on what those options are. I will report back to you guys. Just hang in there. Just hang in there, guys. It's okay to cry. It's okay. Feel all your feelings, guys. You know, that's a mistake that a lot of Christians make. A lot of Christians wrongly think that they have to pray and piety away their emotions. We have human emotions. God gave us emotions for a reason. When God became man, when he became one of us, when he assumed flesh, when the second person of the Trinity assumed flesh in the womb of the Blessed Virgin Mary, he had a complete human nature. He was fully God and fully man, true God and true man, as Pope St. Leo the Great called him at the Council of Chalcedon in the year 451. Jesus is true God and true man. So because he was fully human and fully divine, he had all the emotions that we feel. And I would argue that because he was without sin, he felt all of his human emotions more intensely than those of us sinful humans are able to feel them, because they were pure and they were perfect. So it's okay to feel those emotions, guys. Let the tears flow. It's okay. Let it flow. You're not giving up. Tears don't equal defeat. Christ never denied his emotions. Do you guys know what the shortest sentence in the Bible is? Of all the chapters and verses in the Bible, do you guys know what the shortest verse in the Bible is? It's just 2 words. Jesus wept. When his friend Judas died, Lord, he whom thou lovest is sick. Mary of Bethany said to Jesus in John chapter 11. And when Jesus' good friend Lazarus died, the shortest verse in the Bible is Jesus wept. God in the flesh, the God-man wept. Jesus knew that he was going to raise Lazarus from the dead. And yet, his divine knowledge and his supernatural power and ability to raise Lazarus from the dead did not prevent him from crying, for weeping. It's okay to weep for your country, guys. I'm probably going to go do some weeping myself. I'm being genuine. I don't feel the urge to cry or weep right now, believe it or not, because I think I'm kind of numb right now. I think it's still setting in right now. But feel the anger, guys. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel betrayed. It's okay to be sad. Be angry, but sin not, it says. As long as you don't sin, just stay in a state of grace. Be angry within reason. Don't exceed the right use of reason when angry. And just feel all those feelings, guys. Feel all those feelings. But do your best not to eat until dinner, though. Continue to offer up that hunger to God. And let's just all take a break. Go be with your families. Go pick up your kids from school. Go hold your spouse. Just go into your prayer closet. And let's all just process what just happened right now, okay? I'll be back as soon as I know something. I love you guys. I appreciate you for tuning in. Black voices for Trump forever. Win, lose, or draw. Black voices for Trump. Signing off, guys. I love you.